Most makers think sales only happen at the show. But the truth? Some of my easiest money has actually come before and after the event. If you're only selling at your booth, you are leaving money on the table. Today, I'm breaking down 3 simple sales moves that most vendors forget. And if you start doing them, you'll see extra revenue without adding more shows to your calendar. Let's start with before the show, because honestly, this was one of the hardest lessons I had to learn. When I first started doing vendor events, I thought that the only way to make money was to physically show up, set up my booth, and cross my fingers that people would walk by. I remember one particular Saturday, I had spent days sewing product, hauling tables, setting everything up at 6 o'clock in the morning. And by the end of the day, I had barely broken even on my booth fee. I went home exhausted, frustrated, and wondering if this was even worth it. But here's what's changed everything for me. I realized I didn't have to wait until the show doors opened to start selling. The next time I had a fiber festival, I decided to test something. A few days before my event, I snapped a photo of my newest project bags, posted it on Instagram and sent it out to my email list, and said, I'll be bringing these to the market this weekend, but if you want first dibs, message me today. I'll set one aside for you. And this one strategy helped me to sell enough bags to cover my booth fee before I even got to the event and unloaded my car. That was really my first aha moment. The show itself became gravy. Everything I sold in person proceeded to just be profit on top of what I'd already made. And here's why this works. People love exclusivity and urgency. When you say, I've got 10 pieces and they're debuting Saturday, your audience doesn't want to miss out. Even if they can't make the event, they still get to be part of the excitement. So instead of waiting until show day to hope for sales, create a little bit of pre-show buzz. It turns the event from a gamble into a guarantee. So, all right, let's talk about during the show. For years, I made the mistake of thinking, if people like my stuff, they'll just buy it today. And if they didn't, well, I figured they weren't my customer. And that mindset cost me hundreds of missed sales. Here's what I eventually realized. The people who walk by your booth, linger and then walk away, those people are warm leads. They liked something that they saw enough to stop, but maybe the timing wasn't right. Maybe they were out of cash, or maybe they were rushing, or maybe they just needed a little bit more time to think. But at first, I tried the old sign up sheet on the table strategy to capture them. You know this one, where you have a clipboard that says join my email list. And do you know how many people actually wrote their email down? Almost zero. And the ones who did, half the time their handwriting was too hard to read. I even watched fellow vendors invite people onto their email list, then promise to never email them. And my shift came when I realized you have to give people a reason to sign up and to want to open your emails. Value has to be a part of the exchange. Now, when I'm at shows, I offer something on the spot. Sometimes it's a same-day discount. Join my list and get 10% off right now. Other times it's a thank you gift, like a small sample, or a coupon code they can use later on my website. The point is, you're not just asking them for access to their inbox. You're showing them that you value them first. I'll never forget one show where I handed out little yarn swatches from a bundle I was doing as a thank you for signing up. They cost me pennies to get from a collaborator, but I added 40 new people to my list that day. And 2 weeks later, one of those new subscribers placed a $75 online order. That tiny freebie turned into a paying customer. So don't let those warm leads walk away from your table and leave them hanging. Make it irresistible for them to stay connected with you after the show. Otherwise, you're basically waving goodbye to people who were already interested. Now let's talk about the step almost every vendor forgets. After the show. Here's the truth. When the event ends, most makers pack up their booth, collapse on the couch, and don't think about sales again until the next show. I used to do the exact same thing. I would be exhausted from a long weekend of hauling tables and talking to people that the last thing I wanted to do was send another email. But here's what I learned the hard way. The hours and days after an event are some of the most profitable if you're willing to follow up. Think about it. Your customers just met you. They just signed up for your email list with a little freebie you gave them, or they're still buzzing from the event and buying your products. Or if they didn't buy your products, maybe they walked away saying, well, I'll think about it. But if you don't reach back out, that interest fades fast. One fiber festival, I forced myself to test this. The Monday after the show, I sent a short email to everyone who'd signed up at my booth or made a purchase. Thank you for stopping by this weekend. If you couldn't grab your favorite project bag at the show, I've opened up 5 more spots for custom orders. First come, first served. Within 24 hours, all 5 spots were gone. That single follow-up email generated more money than 3 hours at that festival. That was the moment I realized, if you're not following up, you're leaving hundreds of dollars sitting on the table. So the follow-up doesn't always have to be a sale. Sometimes it's a simple thank you note with a small coupon attached, or an exclusive online-only bundle just for event attendees as a thank you. The key is striking while the memory of you is still fresh. They met a lot of people. They're going to remember the ones that follow up. So don't treat the end of the show like the end of your sales window. Treat it like the beginning of a whole new round of opportunity. And now let me give you a real-life example from my own vendor history, because this is where all 3 pieces really came together for me. A few years ago, I was designing a brand new style of project bag. It was different from anything I'd made before, and this time, I was working with a manufacturer to create my bags. I wasn't sewing them myself. But working with a manufacturer means big upfront costs to purchase the fabric, to purchase all of the materials, and to pay for the production. And I didn't want to just put that all on a credit card and cross my fingers and hope bags would sell. So I decided to test something I'd never done before: pre-orders. I announced to my audience, these new bags are coming. You can get your pre-order in right now, or if you'd like to see them in person first, I'll have samples at Knitter's Day Out and at Wool Gathering in the coming weekends. That one move completely changed my business for me. At the festivals, the people were excited to see the design, touch the fabric, put on the sample bags, see how it looked with them, and placed their pre-orders right there on the spot. It wasn't just a conversation about maybe buying. It was a commitment. And because I'd already promoted pre-orders before the event, I had some cash in hand even before setting up my booth. But here's the best part. After the show, I didn't stop. I followed up with people who had shown interest but hadn't ordered yet, and more pre-orders rolled in. By the time the bags were ready for production, 100% of my manufacturing costs were already covered. That meant that when I finally had the bags in hand and I shipped all of the pre-ordered bags out, every single sale after that was pure profit. And let me tell you, the peace of mind that came from knowing that my costs were already paid, that's when I realized how powerful it is to think beyond just show day sales. Pre-selling, collecting emails, and following up turned one risky product launch into one of the most successful ones for my business. So if you've only been selling at the booth, this is your sign to expand your sales window. Tease it before. Capture the leads during. Follow up after. And to make this super easy, I've put together a free vendor's tip cheat sheet that walks you through all of these steps, plus a few quick other wins you won't want to miss. Grab it at the link below. Thank you for hanging out with me today. And if this helped you, hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe. I drop a new video every week to help makers grow their sales without the overwhelm. I'll see you in the next one.